Welcome, wisdom seekers. Today we venture beyond the noise of the world into a space where true growth is cultivated in quiet. In this place, the usual metrics of success, fame, wealth, and recognition hold no power. Here, strength is forged not in the arena of applause, but in the silence of introspection. Throughout history, the world's greatest philosophers, from Seneca to Marcus Aurelius, found profound wisdom not by speaking or conquering, but by retreating into their inner world. Their power wasn't the kind that sought praise. It was silent, steadfast, and impenetrable. In a world obsessed with outward validation, they showed us that true greatness can, and often must, grow quietly. This video isn't just about becoming better. It's about adopting habits that allow you to build a foundation so strong that no storm can shake it. This is for those who seek to grow, not for others' admiration, but for their own transformation, to become deeply grounded, quietly resilient, and unbreakably self-reliant. Today, we'll delve into 10 habits that, if practiced daily, will allow you to evolve in silence, in ways that few will notice but that you, and those who truly understand you, will deeply feel. These habits are rooted in Stoic principles, the timeless teachings that have empowered countless individuals across centuries to navigate life with a steady mind and an unbreakable spirit. Wisdom seekers, your support means everything. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't yet. Every like, subscribe helps us continue our mission of sharing knowledge. Ready to unlock more wisdom? So let's journey into the quiet spaces where true growth begins. Habit 1. Embracing solitude. Embracing solitude is, without a doubt, one of the most profound and transformative habits a person can cultivate. In today's world, where every moment seems filled with noise, distraction, and stimulation, solitude feels almost like an act of rebellion, a declaration of independence from society's demand for constant connectivity and validation. Yet solitude is far more than just being alone. True solitude is a deliberate and mindful retreat into oneself. It's a conscious decision to face oneself without distraction, to listen to our inner voice without interference, and to confront both our strengths and our weaknesses with brutal honesty. The ancient Stoics understood solitude not just as a physical state, but as a powerful mental and spiritual practice. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor constantly surrounded by advisors, soldiers, and citizens, often found his greatest refuge in his own mind. He wrote in his Meditations, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." For Marcus, solitude wasn't a luxury but a necessity, a chance to step back from the chaos of life and connect deeply with his inner self. This solitude was where he gathered strength, clarity, and wisdom, preparing him to lead with resilience and integrity. In solitude, we are free from the pressures of performing for others. There is no audience, no need to act in accordance with social expectations. Solitude strips us down to our essence. In this space, we encounter our thoughts unfiltered. We confront our fears, our insecurities, our aspirations, everything that defines us at our core. And while this encounter can be intimidating, it is also one of the most liberating experiences. Solitude allows us to face ourselves as we truly are, rather than as we appear in the eyes of others. Let's dive deeply into what embracing solitude really entails, breaking it down into its essential components. 1. Honest self-awareness. Solitude is the birthplace of true self-awareness. Without solitude, our self-knowledge remains superficial, based largely on how we perceive ourselves through others' eyes. In solitude, there is no one to impress, no one to judge us, only ourselves. This is where we can ask the questions that we often avoid. Questions like, who am I? What do I truly want? What am I avoiding? In the silence of solitude, these questions can't be dismissed. They must be confronted. This honesty isn't always comfortable. When alone, we are forced to reckon with parts of ourselves that we may not like, habits we wish we didn't have, or aspirations that scare us. But it's this discomfort that reveals the truth. To become our best selves, we must first know ourselves as we are, and in solitude, we discover both our flaws and our potential. 2. Inner dialogue, the art of self-conversation. In solitude, we learn to have conversations with ourselves. Self-conversation isn't about self-criticism, it's about self-exploration. Philosophers like Epictetus and Seneca practiced this self-dialogue rigorously. For them, self-conversation was an opportunity to challenge their own thoughts, to question their assumptions, and to explore the values guiding their lives. When we sit alone, without distraction, we can begin to dialogue with our innermost thoughts. This practice develops our ability to think critically and reflectively, skills that become valuable in all aspects of life. Inner dialogue allows us to explore our desires, question our fears, and test our beliefs. It's a space where we can evaluate our progress, identify areas for improvement, and encourage ourselves to stay aligned with our values. Through this ongoing conversation, we become both our own mentor and our own challenger. 3. Mental clarity, cutting through the noise. In a noisy world, solitude is the space where we can cut through the noise, allowing our minds to settle and clarify. Our daily lives are filled with distractions, opinions, and expectations, all of which cloud our true desires and goals. In solitude, these distractions fade away, leaving only our unadulterated thoughts. This is where clarity begins. Solitude gives us the mental space to evaluate what truly matters to us. Without outside influences, we gain a clearer sense of our goals, our motivations, and our priorities. This clarity becomes the foundation for decision-making. We make choices based on our own values rather than on societal expectations. In solitude, we develop a stronger sense of self-direction, gaining the confidence to move forward with purpose and intention. 4. Resilience, building strength from within. Solitude is not always easy. For many, it can feel uncomfortable, even unsettling. But it's this very discomfort that builds resilience. When we learn to sit with our own minds, to face our thoughts and feelings without running from them, we develop a kind of mental toughness that few possess. We become comfortable with our own company, with our own minds, and with our own struggles. We become, in a sense, self-sufficient. Resilience is built in solitude, because in this state, we have no external support. There is no one to reassure us, no one to distract us, no one to comfort us. We must learn to comfort ourselves, to find strength within, and in doing so, we develop a profound sense of independence. We become stronger, not because we have eliminated our struggles, but because we have learned to face them alone. Imagine the power of this habit. A man who has developed resilience in solitude is prepared for any challenge life throws at him. He does not crumble under pressure, nor does he seek validation from others. He remains centered, knowing that his strength comes from within. 5. Creativity and insight, the unseen power of solitude. Solitude is a breeding ground for creativity and insight. Many of the world's greatest thinkers, artists, and inventors have credited solitude as the source of their most profound ideas. When we are alone, our minds are free to wander, to explore, to connect ideas in ways that we might not in the presence of others. Without distraction, we can dive deeply into our own thoughts, letting our imagination run wild. Albert Einstein, Nikola Tesla, Virginia Woolf. These individuals, among many others, have spoken of the creative power of solitude. In solitude, the mind is free to think expansively, to envision possibilities that may seem out of reach. Creativity flows naturally, unrestricted by the limitations imposed by societal norms or expectations. This is why solitude is so essential for anyone seeking to cultivate original thought, for it's in the silence of solitude that our minds are most free to create. 6. Spiritual growth and inner peace. Finally, solitude offers us the opportunity to connect with something greater than ourselves. Whether through meditation, prayer, or contemplation, solitude allows us to explore our relationship with the world, with life, and with the mystery of existence. This is not about religious belief, it's about finding a sense of peace and connection within ourselves. It's about grounding ourselves in something deeper than the daily grind of life. In solitude, we can explore questions that often go unanswered. What is my purpose? What gives my life meaning? How can I live in harmony with the world? Through this exploration, we begin to cultivate inner peace, a sense of calm that remains with us even in times of turbulence. This peace is the essence of Stoic tranquility. It is the calmness that comes from knowing that, no matter what happens, we are connected to something greater, something that cannot be shaken. Habit 2. The discipline of observation. If solitude is the foundation for self-discovery, then observation is the lens through which we understand the world. Observation, at its core, is more than simply seeing. It is the practice of looking deeply, listening attentively, and noticing details without jumping to conclusions. To the Stoics, observation was an active skill, a form of knowledge gathering that required patience, humility, and above all, a commitment to understanding. Observation allows us to notice patterns in people, behaviors, and situations. Patterns that can guide us in navigating life with wisdom and insight. The Greek philosopher Epictetus once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." This simple statement captures the essence of observation. It's a reminder that observation requires us to be receptive, to listen more than we speak, and to understand more than we seek to be understood. Observation is a form of humility because it asks us to pause, to be present, and to let the world reveal itself on its own terms, rather than projecting our assumptions onto it. Let's explore the key components of disciplined observation and how this habit can become a powerful tool for personal growth. 1. Cultivating present awareness. True observation begins with presence. To observe effectively, we must be fully in the moment, undistracted by our own thoughts, worries, or biases. This means putting aside our inner commentary and simply being with what is. When we are present, we see things as they are, not as we wish them to be. Presence is an incredibly challenging skill to cultivate. Most of us live with a constant stream of mental noise, our judgments, opinions, and expectations. But disciplined observation requires that we set these aside. Imagine sitting in a crowded place, like a cafe or a park. Instead of getting lost in thoughts about what you need to do later, or judgments about the people around you, simply observe. Notice the sounds, the colors, the expressions on people's faces. Try to see without analyzing. This act of mindful observation brings clarity and depth to our understanding. In relationships, for example, observation allows us to truly hear what someone else is saying without immediately filtering it through our own experiences or opinions. When we listen deeply, we create space for genuine understanding. We notice the unspoken signals, the tone of voice, the pauses, the body language. This presence not only improves our relationships, but also allows us to learn about others on a level that goes beyond words. 2. Learning to see without judgment. One of the greatest challenges in observation is to see without judging. Judgment is a natural human tendency. It's how we categorize and make sense of the world. But judgment also limits our ability to observe clearly. When we judge, we close ourselves off to deeper insights because we have already decided what something means. The Stoics believed that suspending judgment was a crucial practice. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote about the importance of observing life without attaching immediate labels of good or bad. Instead, he encouraged a neutral, curious mindset. This is not to say that we should abandon all discernment, but rather that we should postpone it until we have fully observed a situation. Consider a common scenario. You are in a meeting, and a colleague makes a comment that you initially interpret as critical. Instead of reacting with defensiveness, pause. Observe their tone, their facial expression, and their body language. Are they truly being critical, or are you interpreting it that way based on your own insecurities? By observing before judging, we avoid misunderstandings and allow ourselves to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Number 3. Deep listening. The art of silent understanding. Observation goes hand in hand with listening, yet listening is perhaps one of the most overlooked skills in modern society. We often listen with the intent to reply rather than to understand. True observation, however, requires a different kind of listening, one that is entirely focused on the speaker, free from our own agenda or need to respond. This is what we call deep listening. Deep listening is an act of empathy. When we listen deeply, we are not only hearing words, but also understanding the emotions, thoughts, and intentions behind them. This level of listening is rare, and when practiced, it has the power to transform our relationships. It fosters trust, respect, and a sense of being truly understood. Practice deep listening by allowing others to speak without interruption. Pay attention to their words, their tone, and their body language. Let them finish completely before you respond. Notice the effect this has not only on them, but also on yourself. You may find that by listening deeply, you come to understand others in ways you hadn't before, and this understanding often brings a greater sense of peace and harmony. 4. Observing patterns in behavior and reactions. Observation also involves identifying patterns. patterns in our own behavior as well as in others. Human beings are creatures of habit. We often repeat the same actions, responses, and behaviors, sometimes without even realizing it. By observing these patterns, we gain valuable insights into our motivations, fears, and desires. Consider your daily interactions. Do you notice certain reactions that come up frequently? Perhaps you tend to get defensive when someone questions you, or you often find yourself procrastinating on tasks that feel overwhelming. These patterns are clues to our inner world, revealing areas that may need attention or improvement. Similarly, by observing patterns in others, we can gain a better understanding of who they are and what drives them. This can be incredibly useful in relationships, as it allows us to anticipate reactions and adapt our communication to avoid conflict or misunderstanding. 5. Cultivating patience. Through observation. Observation requires patience, a virtue that is increasingly rare in a world of instant gratification. To observe well, we must be willing to wait, to let things unfold naturally rather than forcing conclusions. Patience in observation allows us to gather a fuller picture before making decisions or judgments. In nature, observation is a slow process. Imagine watching a tree grow or a river flow. Nature does not hurry, and yet everything is accomplished. This kind of patience, when applied to our lives, brings a sense of calm and clarity. It teaches us that not everything needs an immediate answer, and that sometimes the best response is simply to wait and observe. 6. Observing ourselves. Inner observation. Finally, the discipline of observation is not limited to the external world. Some of the most important observations we make are about ourselves. Observing our own thoughts, emotions, and reactions gives us insight into our inner workings. This self-observation, often called mindfulness, is a cornerstone of both Stoic philosophy and modern psychology. When we observe ourselves, we become more aware of our triggers, our automatic responses, and our biases. For instance, if you notice that you often feel irritated in certain situations, observe this feeling without judgment. What causes it? How does it affect your thoughts and behavior? By observing our inner world, we become more attuned to our emotional landscape, which in turn allows us to respond to life with greater calm and intentionality. Practical steps to cultivate observation. Cultivating disciplined observation is a skill that takes time and practice. Here are some steps to help you develop this habit. 1. Practice mindful awareness. Start by dedicating a few minutes each day to observe your surroundings without distraction. Pay attention to the details, the colors, shapes, sounds, and textures. This practice will sharpen your observational skills over time. 2. Delay judgment. Whenever you find yourself forming an opinion or judgment, pause. Remind yourself to observe fully before drawing conclusions. Notice how this practice opens you up to a deeper understanding. 3. Listen without interrupting. In conversations, make a conscious effort to listen deeply. Focus entirely on the speaker, resisting the urge to respond immediately. Let their words sink in before you formulate a reply. 4. Observe patterns. Take note of recurring patterns in your life, whether in your own behavior or in your interactions with others. Reflect on these patterns to understand their underlying causes. 5. Self-observation through journaling. Use a journal to record your observations about your thoughts, feelings, and reactions. This practice will help you develop a greater awareness of your inner world. The reward of disciplined observation. The reward of disciplined observation is wisdom. Through observation, we gain a deeper understanding of the world and ourselves. We learn to see beyond the surface, to understand the motivations and patterns that shape behavior, and to respond with insight rather than impulse. In a world that values quick reactions and instant opinions, the disciplined observer stands apart. He is calm, thoughtful, and perceptive, seeing beyond appearances to the truths that lie beneath. Observation cultivates patience, humility, and understanding, qualities that are rare and valuable in any setting. By mastering this habit, we gain the ability to navigate life with a steady mind, a clear vision, and a heart open to true understanding. Habit 3. Ritualizing daily reflection. The third essential habit for silent growth is the practice of daily reflection. Reflection is a ritual that transforms our experiences into insights, our mistakes into lessons, and our successes into guidance. The Stoics, particularly Seneca, advocated for this practice as a way to live deliberately. to ensure that each day contributed to personal growth and self-improvement. Seneca himself reflected every evening, examining his actions and decisions to understand how he could become a better man. He wrote, "Every night before going to sleep, we must examine our conscience. What weakness did I overcome today? What virtue did I acquire?" Reflection is more than just a review of our day. It is a deep and honest examination of our intentions, actions, and thoughts. It is the practice of holding ourselves accountable and ensuring that we live in alignment with our values and goals. 1. Establishing a reflection ritual. Daily reflection begins with creating a ritual. This ritual could be as simple as spending 10 minutes in silence before bed, or as structured as writing in a journal every evening. The key is consistency. By setting aside a specific time for reflection each day, we create a habit that becomes ingrained in our routine. Through ritual, reflection becomes a sacred practice, a time when we set aside the noise of daily life to look within. This ritual grounds us, creating a sense of stability and purpose. 2. Practicing radical honesty. Daily reflection requires an unwavering commitment to honesty. Radical honesty means looking at ourselves without excuses, without justification, and without ego. It's about acknowledging both our strengths and our shortcomings. It is often easier to brush aside uncomfortable truths about ourselves, but reflection demands that we confront them directly. For example, if we lost our temper during the day, reflection allows us to question why. What triggered that reaction? What fears or insecurities were at play? Did we hurt someone in the process? Radical honesty allows us to see ourselves clearly, to take responsibility for our actions, and to make adjustments where necessary. Radical honesty also means celebrating our victories, no matter how small. Acknowledging our achievements, even those that might seem insignificant, fuels our motivation to keep improving. This balanced perspective, acknowledging both our faults and our strengths, helps us develop a realistic and compassionate self-view, which is essential for personal growth. 3. Learning from mistakes. The purpose of reflection isn't to dwell on our mistakes, but to learn from them. In the silence of daily reflection, we can look back on the moments when we may have fallen short of our ideals, not as failures but as opportunities for growth. This perspective shifts our mindset from one of self-criticism to one of self-compassion. The Stoics viewed mistakes as a natural part of the human experience, and they emphasized learning from them without self-condemnation. Marcus Aurelius once noted that the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. In this view, every mistake becomes a stepping stone toward greater wisdom. Reflection is how we transform those mistakes into lessons that guide us forward. Ask yourself each day, what went wrong and why? What could I have done differently? What will I do next time? This process allows us to internalize the lessons and to approach similar situations in the future with greater wisdom and awareness. 4. Aligning with core values. Reflection serves as a way to realign ourselves with our core values. In the hustle and bustle of daily life, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters. Daily reflection brings us back to our center, reminding us of the principles we aspire to live by. Take a moment each day to ask yourself, did I act in alignment with my values today? Did I stay true to my integrity, my kindness, my resilience? By measuring our actions against our values, we hold ourselves accountable. This is where true growth happens, as we become more aware of the gap between who we are and who we want to be. In the words of Socrates, the unexamined life is not worth living. Reflection is a way to ensure that our lives are guided by our deepest beliefs and that our actions are purposeful, intentional, and meaningful. 5. Gratitude and perspective. Another powerful aspect of daily reflection is cultivating gratitude. Reflection isn't just about examining what went wrong. It's also about recognizing the good in our lives, taking a moment each day to express gratitude, whether for the people in our lives, our health, or even small moments of joy, helps us maintain perspective. The Stoics were masters of gratitude and perspective. They taught that by appreciating what we have, we become less vulnerable to external desires and disappointments. Seneca advised, "He who receives a benefit with gratitude repays the first installment on his debt." In other words, gratitude grounds us in a mindset of abundance, rather than scarcity, reminding us of the many blessings we already possess. Try ending each reflection with a few things you're grateful for that day. This simple practice not only boosts your mood but also builds resilience, allowing you to focus on the positive aspects of life even when faced with challenges. 6. Envisioning tomorrow. Reflection isn't just about looking back, it's also about looking forward. Once we have examined our day and taken stock of our actions, we can set our intentions for tomorrow. This forward-looking approach brings focus and clarity to our goals, allowing us to approach the next day with a clear sense of purpose. In envisioning tomorrow, we move beyond vague resolutions. We set specific, actionable goals based on what we've learned from today's experiences. For example, if you noticed a tendency to procrastinate, you might set an intention to tackle your tasks earlier. If you struggled with patience, you might resolve to practice greater empathy and calm in your interactions. Setting intentions also strengthens our willpower. By deciding in advance how we will act, we reinforce our commitment to personal growth. This habit, when practiced consistently, becomes a powerful force for transformation, as each day becomes a stepping stone toward our ideal self. 7. Building self-trust through reflection. One of the most profound rewards of daily reflection is that it builds self-trust. When we hold ourselves accountable each day, we come to trust in our ability to grow, to learn, and to overcome obstacles. We become our own guide and support system, gaining confidence in our capacity to navigate life's challenges with integrity and resilience. Self-trust is built through consistent reflection. When we see ourselves honestly, learn from our mistakes, and stay committed to our values, we develop an inner stability that cannot be shaken by external circumstances. We trust that, no matter what happens, we have the strength and wisdom to handle it. Practical steps to ritualize daily reflection. Here are some practical ways to incorporate daily reflection into your life. 1. Set a dedicated time. Choose a time each day to reflect, perhaps in the evening before bed or early in the morning. Make this a sacred ritual, a time that is solely for you and your thoughts. 2. Use a journal. Writing can be an incredibly effective way to organize your reflections. Use a journal to record your thoughts, lessons, and intentions. Over time, this journal will become a powerful record of your journey. 3. Ask specific questions. To guide your reflection, use specific questions, such as, what did I learn today? How did I respond to challenges? What am I grateful for? How can I improve tomorrow? These questions provide structure and ensure that your reflection is thorough and meaningful. 4. Practice self-compassion. Remember, the goal of reflection is growth, not perfection. Be gentle with yourself. Recognize that change takes time and that every small step forward is progress. 5. Celebrate your wins. Don't overlook your successes, no matter how small. Reflection is a time to honor your growth, to acknowledge your progress, and to motivate yourself to keep moving forward. The ultimate reward of daily reflection. Daily reflection is a quiet but transformative practice. It brings clarity to our actions, aligns us with our values, and deepens our understanding of ourselves and the world. Through reflection, we transform each day into a lesson, a chance to grow and to move closer to our ideal self. Reflection is a form of self-mastery. When we reflect daily, we gain control over our actions, our thoughts, and our lives. We become active participants in our own growth, guiding ourselves with wisdom and intention. This habit, though simple, has the power to change the way we live, enabling us to approach each day with a clear mind, an open heart, and a steadfast commitment to our personal evolution. Habit 4. Embracing deliberate minimalism. In a world of constant noise, excess, and distraction, minimalism offers a way to find clarity, focus, and peace. Minimalism as a practice is not about deprivation or restriction. Rather, it's a conscious choice to focus on what truly matters by removing the excess from our lives. The Stoics understood this principle well. They believed that true happiness and fulfillment come not from accumulating possessions, but from simplifying life to make space for inner richness. Seneca, one of the most prominent Stoic philosophers, said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor." Minimalism challenges us to ask, what do I truly need? What adds value to my life? This habit of deliberate minimalism goes beyond just material possessions. It applies to our schedules, our relationships, and even our thoughts. Embracing minimalism in all areas of life allows us to grow in silence by focusing our energy on what truly brings us peace and purpose. Let's explore the key components of embracing minimalism and how this habit, when practiced consistently, can bring about profound changes. 1. Decluttering the physical space. The first and most accessible form of minimalism is decluttering our physical environment. Our surroundings have a significant impact on our mental state. Cluttered spaces can lead to cluttered minds, while orderly and simple environments foster peace and clarity. By decluttering, we create physical space that mirrors the mental space we aspire to cultivate. This process begins with a simple question: do I need this? Take an honest look at your belongings and consider what truly adds value to your life versus what is merely taking up space. This isn't about living with the bare minimum, but about choosing items that genuinely serve a purpose or bring you joy. The goal is to reduce distractions so that our minds can rest more easily. When we simplify our physical environment, we create an external reflection of our internal state. A clean, uncluttered space becomes a sanctuary for reflection, creativity, and peace. 2. Simplifying commitments. Minimalism extends beyond possessions into our schedules and commitments. Many of us fall into the trap of overcommitting, filling our days with obligations that leave little time for rest or reflection. Embracing minimalism in our schedule means being intentional about how we spend our time, choosing quality over quantity in our engagements. Begin by evaluating your current commitments. Ask yourself, does this bring me closer to my goals or values? Does this activity nourish my soul, or does it drain my energy? Minimalism doesn't mean cutting out everything, but rather making conscious choices that align with your priorities. When we reduce unnecessary commitments, we regain control over our time and energy. This frees us to invest in activities and relationships that truly matter. In this way, minimalism helps us build a life that is rich in meaning rather than filled with obligations. 3. Practicing digital minimalism. In the digital age, minimalism has taken on a new dimension. Our screens are filled with notifications, emails, social media feeds, and endless content. Digital minimalism is the practice of curating our digital lives, choosing what to engage with and what to ignore. This habit reduces the noise in our lives and allows us to focus on deeper, more meaningful pursuits. Consider evaluating your digital habits. Do you need to check your email every hour? Is social media enhancing your life, or is it a source of stress and distraction? By reducing our digital consumption, we create space for real-life experiences, meaningful conversations, and quiet moments of reflection. Many people find value in setting boundaries for their digital use, turning off notifications, setting screen time limits, or even taking regular digital detox days. By practicing digital minimalism, we reclaim our attention and free ourselves from the constant pull of the digital world. 4. Cultivating mindful consumption. Minimalism is not only about what we remove, but also about what we allow into our lives. Mindful consumption is a way of engaging with the world that is thoughtful and intentional. This includes not only the things we buy, but also the media we consume, the food we eat, and the experiences we seek. Before making a purchase, ask yourself, do I really need this? Does this align with my values? Similarly, before consuming media, consider whether it will enrich your life or simply fill the time. Mindful consumption helps us develop a greater appreciation for what we already have, reducing the need for constant novelty or entertainment. Mindfulness also helps us recognize the true impact of our choices on the environment, our health, and our mental well-being. This habit cultivates a sense of contentment and reduces the endless pursuit of more. 5. Focusing on deep relationships. Minimalism in relationships doesn't mean cutting people out of your life, but it does mean being intentional about the relationships you nurture. Rather than spreading ourselves thin across numerous connections, minimalism encourages us to focus on deeper, more meaningful relationships. This may mean investing more time in a few close friendships or family relationships, rather than trying to maintain superficial connections with many people. By focusing on depth rather than breadth, we build relationships that offer genuine support, understanding, and connection. These relationships become a source of strength and comfort, grounding us in times of difficulty. In the words of the Stoic philosopher Epictetus, Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. When we apply this principle to relationships, we realize that the true wealth of life is found not in the quantity of our connections, but in the quality. The rewards of deliberate minimalism. Minimalism, at its heart, is a practice of contentment. It teaches us to find satisfaction not in excess, but in simplicity. Through minimalism, we create a life that is not cluttered by distractions or dominated by desires. Instead, we focus on what truly matters: our values, our purpose, and our relationships. This habit allows us to grow in silence, free from the noise and chaos that so often fill our lives. Minimalism brings clarity, focus, and a sense of inner peace. It is a path to self-mastery, where we learn to live with intention, choosing only what adds meaning to our lives. By embracing deliberate minimalism, we build a life that is rich in purpose, simplicity, and joy. Habit 5. Embracing discomfort. In the pursuit of growth, comfort is often the greatest obstacle we must overcome. Our natural inclination as human beings is to avoid discomfort, to seek pleasure, ease, and security. However, the Stoic philosophy teaches us that true growth does not arise from moments of ease, but from the ability to embrace discomfort with grace, understanding, and purpose. Discomfort is not something to shy away from. It is a powerful tool for transformation. When we choose to endure discomfort and challenge ourselves in the face of it, we unlock a deeper level of self-mastery and resilience that cannot be achieved in the safety of our comfort zones. The Stoics believed that discomfort in all its forms is an opportunity for growth. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, famously said, "What stands in the way becomes the way." This idea underscores the power of discomfort. What we resist or avoid, the challenges, the pain, the discomfort, is often the very thing that holds the key to our evolution. The Stoics saw every difficulty as an opportunity to cultivate virtue, to practice endurance, and to fortify our inner resolve. 1. Understanding discomfort as a path to self-mastery. To embrace discomfort, we must first understand it for what it is, a natural part of the human experience that can either break us or make us stronger, depending on how we choose to respond to it. Discomfort is not a sign of weakness or failure. Instead, it is a sign of growth in process. Just as a blacksmith shapes a sword by heating and hammering it, so too are we forged in the fires of discomfort. The discomfort we experience in life, whether physical, emotional, or psychological, is the crucible in which our character is tested and strengthened. Through Stoic practices, we learn that the discomfort we face in life is not to be feared, but embraced. When we choose to confront discomfort rather than flee from it, we learn to master our emotions, our reactions, and our attachments. We become less dependent on external circumstances to determine our happiness and more in control of our inner state. This shift is one of the most powerful aspects of Stoicism, the recognition that we have the ability to choose how we respond to discomfort. 2. Cultivating resilience through exposure to discomfort. One of the key aspects of embracing discomfort is the practice of exposing ourselves to it gradually. The Stoics were keenly aware that resilience is built through repeated exposure to adversity. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." Just as we would not expect to build muscle strength without lifting weights, we cannot expect to develop emotional and psychological strength without confronting discomfort. By deliberately seeking out situations that push us out of our comfort zone, whether it's through physical challenges, emotional risks, or mental exertions, we build resilience over time. The Stoic practice of voluntary discomfort encourages us to embrace small hardships as a way of preparing ourselves for the larger challenges that will inevitably arise. This could mean enduring a difficult workout, fasting for a period, or making ourselves do something we find uncomfortable, like speaking in public or confronting a difficult conversation. Each act of discomfort builds the muscle of resilience, making us stronger and more capable in the face of life's inevitable challenges. 3. Accepting discomfort as part of the human condition. The Stoics believed that discomfort is a universal experience. It is an inherent part of being human, and no one can escape it. Whether we face illness, financial difficulties, loss, or personal failure, discomfort is woven into the fabric of life. It is not something to avoid, but something to accept. Epictetus famously taught, Man is not worried by real problems so much as by his imagined anxieties about real problems. By accepting that discomfort will come in many forms, we free ourselves from the unrealistic expectation that we should always be comfortable, happy, or content. The practice of acceptance is key to embracing discomfort. Rather than resisting discomfort when it arises, we acknowledge it as part of life's natural ebb and flow. We stop wishing for life to be different and instead focus on how we can respond with equanimity and grace. In this acceptance, we find freedom. Freedom from the fear of discomfort, freedom from the need for constant pleasure, and freedom to grow through every experience, no matter how difficult it may seem. 4. Developing mental toughness. To embrace discomfort is to cultivate mental toughness. In a world that constantly offers us distractions, comforts, and easy solutions, it takes mental fortitude to stay committed to the path of growth. The Stoics understood that mental toughness is not built overnight, but through continuous practice. It is the ability to remain steadfast and composed in the face of adversity, knowing that discomfort will pass and that we will emerge stronger for having endured it. Mental toughness is about cultivating the inner strength to face any challenge without being overwhelmed by it. It is about holding on to our values and principles, even when the world around us seems to be in turmoil. When we face discomfort with a calm and focused mind, we develop the resilience to withstand even the most trying circumstances. 5. Discomfort as the gateway to true freedom. There is a profound paradox in Stoic philosophy. True freedom comes not from avoiding discomfort, but from embracing it. When we learn to accept and even welcome discomfort, we free ourselves from the tyranny of our desires and fears. We are no longer at the mercy of external circumstances, but in control of how we respond to them. We no longer define our happiness by the comfort of our surroundings, but by the strength of our inner character. By practicing discomfort, we cultivate an inner resilience that cannot be shaken by the fluctuations of the world. We learn to live with greater intentionality, knowing that we are not defined by our circumstances, but by the choices we make in response to them. In this way, discomfort becomes the gateway to true freedom, the freedom to live fully without fear or hesitation, regardless of what life may throw our way. 6. Discomfort as the foundation of virtue. Finally, embracing discomfort is the foundation of virtue. The Stoics believed that the path to virtue is not a smooth or easy one. It is a road fraught with challenges, obstacles, and discomfort. Virtue, whether it be courage, temperance, wisdom, or justice, cannot be developed in a life of ease and comfort. It is through facing discomfort that we are tested and refined. When we choose to face discomfort head-on, we strengthen our character and deepen our understanding of ourselves. In embracing discomfort, we align ourselves with the Stoic idea of living according to nature. Recognizing that hardship is a natural part of life, and that it is through overcoming difficulties that we become the people we are meant to be. The discomfort we face, therefore, is not something to resent, but something to cherish as the forge of our virtue and growth. Habit 6. Developing a strong inner dialogue. One of the most significant factors that shape our actions, reactions, and mindset is our internal dialogue. The Stoics understood the power of our thoughts and how they can either hinder or help us grow. They believed that true strength comes from mastering our internal dialogue, from having control over our thoughts and using them to build resilience, virtue, and peace of mind. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, repeatedly spoke about the importance of controlling our thoughts. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The Stoic approach teaches us that our inner narrative directly impacts our perception of the world. If we allow negative, unproductive thoughts to dominate our inner world, we will experience more stress, frustration, and disappointment. However, if we choose to cultivate an inner dialogue that is aligned with our values, goals, and purpose, we become the masters of our own experience. 1. Becoming aware of your thoughts. The first step in developing a strong inner dialogue is cultivating awareness of your thoughts. Many of us go through our days without even noticing the constant stream of thoughts that run through our minds. These thoughts can often be critical, anxious, or self-limiting. To transform our inner dialogue, we must first become aware of the narratives we are telling ourselves. Take a moment each day to observe your thoughts. What patterns emerge? Are they positive or negative? Do they support your growth, or do they hold you back? This awareness is the first step toward changing your internal dialogue. 2. Replacing negative thoughts with constructive ones. Once we become aware of the negative or limiting thoughts we have, we can begin to replace them with more constructive and empowering thoughts. This doesn't mean ignoring or suppressing negative emotions. Rather, it means choosing to respond to them in a way that is productive and aligned with our values. For example, if you catch yourself thinking, "I'll never be good enough," you can replace that with a more constructive thought, like, "I am capable of learning and improving." This is a challenge, not a failure. Stoicism teaches that it is not the event itself, but our perception of the event that determines our emotional response. Therefore, we have the power to reshape our perception and choose thoughts that empower us rather than defeat us. Number 3. Using affirmations to build resilience. Affirmations are a powerful tool in reshaping our inner dialogue. Stoics often practiced affirmations in the form of self-reflection, reminding themselves of their higher purpose and the virtues they sought to embody. By repeating positive and empowering affirmations, we reprogram our subconscious mind, reinforcing the belief that we are capable, resilient, and worthy of success. Some Stoic affirmations might include, "I control my thoughts and reactions." "Every challenge is an opportunity for growth." "I am capable of living with virtue and wisdom." "I am calm, focused, and centered." Using affirmations consistently can strengthen your mental resilience, helping you navigate adversity with a more positive and empowering perspective. 4. Embracing self-compassion. A key aspect of a healthy inner dialogue is practicing self-compassion. Stoicism does not advocate for harsh self-criticism or perfectionism. Instead, it encourages us to be kind to ourselves, to accept that we will make mistakes, and to treat ourselves with the same understanding that we would offer to a friend in times of struggle. Self-compassion allows us to grow without being paralyzed by guilt or shame. It encourages us to view setbacks as opportunities for learning rather than personal failures. The Stoics believed that true virtue comes from striving to be better, not from achieving perfection. By cultivating a compassionate and supportive inner dialogue, we build the resilience necessary to keep moving forward, no matter the obstacles. The impact of a strong inner dialogue. A positive and constructive inner dialogue serves as the foundation for a resilient and fulfilled life. It is through our thoughts that we interpret the world, and it is through our thoughts that we can transform challenges into opportunities for growth. By mastering our inner dialogue, we gain the power to shape our experiences, overcome adversity, and grow silently in ways that others may not immediately see. This inner strength becomes a quiet but powerful force that propels us toward personal greatness. Habit 7. Practicing self-reliance. Self-reliance is a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy, and it is the habit that allows us to grow independently and build a resilient, empowered life. The Stoics taught that true strength comes from within, and by relying on ourselves, our virtues, wisdom, and inner resources, we can weather any storm without needing external validation or support. Ralph Waldo Emerson, an admirer of Stoicism and a pioneer of the philosophy of self-reliance in the Western tradition, stated, "Self-reliance is the key to a strong, vibrant, and successful life." In this, he echoes the Stoic teaching that our true power comes from our ability to stand on our own 2 feet, to be independent in our thoughts and actions, and to find strength within ourselves rather than seeking it from the outside world. 1. Cultivating inner strength. Self-reliance begins with cultivating inner strength. This means learning to trust ourselves, our abilities, and our judgment. It requires an unwavering belief in our capacity to face challenges and solve problems, even when there is no one else around to help. Self-reliance is not about rejecting help when needed, but about cultivating the confidence to handle situations independently when possible. To strengthen your inner resolve, practice making decisions on your own, trusting your judgment, and taking responsibility for your actions. The more you rely on yourself, the more confident and empowered you become. Over time, this practice builds an inner fortitude that allows you to remain calm, even in the face of adversity. 2. Detaching from external validation. One of the greatest barriers to self-reliance is our attachment to external validation. We often look to others for approval, recognition, and praise, and this can undermine our independence. To cultivate true self-reliance, we must learn to detach from the need for external validation. This means letting go of the desire for others' approval, realizing that our worth is not determined by the opinions of others. The Stoics believe that external factors, such as wealth, status, or recognition, are outside our control, and relying on them for validation leads to fragility. True self-reliance comes from within, from living according to our values and principles, regardless of how others may perceive us. A Stoic practice to help with this is to frequently ask yourself, am I living in alignment with my own values, or am I seeking validation from others? By constantly checking in with yourself, you strengthen your commitment to self-reliance and internal validation. 3. Taking full responsibility for your life. Self-reliance requires taking full responsibility for your life. This means accepting that you are the architect of your own fate. While circumstances may shape your journey, how you respond to them is entirely within your control. When we take responsibility for our actions, choices, and responses, we empower ourselves to make decisions that serve our growth. In practice, this means refraining from blaming others or external events for our struggles. Instead, we recognize that it is our reactions to these events that shape our experience. As Epictetus taught, we are not disturbed by things, but by the views we take of them. By taking full responsibility for our thoughts, feelings, and actions, we reclaim our power and become self-reliant in all aspects of life. 4. Embracing solitude and reflection. Self-reliance also involves learning to be comfortable in solitude. In a world that often encourages constant social interaction and external distractions, solitude allows us to reconnect with ourselves and our inner wisdom. Stoics often practice solitary reflection as a means of deepening their understanding of life and their place within it. Spending time alone, away from distractions, gives us the space to reflect on our lives, make intentional decisions, and reconnect with our values. This solitude strengthens our inner resolve, making us less dependent on others for guidance or support. The long-term rewards of self-reliance. Practicing self-reliance leads to a life of greater freedom, confidence, and inner peace. It allows us to weather any storm, remain calm in the face of adversity, and continue forward on our path, regardless of external circumstances. By relying on ourselves, we become the masters of our own lives, unshaken by the winds of change or the opinions of others. This quiet, steadfast strength enables us to grow in silence, nurturing a powerful sense of independence and resilience. Habit 8. Mastering the art of patience. Patience is often seen as a passive virtue, but in the philosophy of Stoicism, it is one of the most active and powerful practices we can adopt. To cultivate patience is to embody control, resilience, and wisdom. In a world that is increasingly obsessed with instant gratification, the ability to wait with calm and resolve has become a rare and valuable skill. Stoics believe that patience is not about merely enduring life's challenges, but about cultivating a deep sense of trust in the natural flow of time and events. Seneca, in his letters, wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Patience is an essential part of self-mastery. It allows us to regulate our emotions, particularly our impulses and desires. When we practice patience, we learn to wait for the right moment, to act with measured consideration, and to remain undisturbed by the external pressures that may seek to hurry us. This habit of practicing patience in silence can foster profound internal growth and peace. 1. The power of delayed gratification. One of the core elements of patience is the ability to delay gratification. In a culture where immediate rewards are often prioritized, the Stoic practice of delayed gratification challenges us to put off short-term pleasures in favor of long-term fulfillment. The act of waiting cultivates discipline, focus, and a deeper appreciation for what we have, all of which contribute to our overall growth. When we resist the urge for immediate satisfaction, whether it's in eating, spending money, or seeking validation, we create space for true wisdom. This does not mean denying ourselves pleasure, but rather understanding that the most meaningful rewards often take time to manifest. Like a farmer waiting for his crops to grow, The Stoic learns to trust that good things come to those who patiently cultivate their lives with deliberate care and focus. 2. Patience as a form of emotional mastery. Patience is also a form of emotional regulation. It is not about suppressing emotions, but about acknowledging them and choosing how to respond. When we feel frustration, anger, or impatience, we can practice the art of pausing. Instead of reacting impulsively, we take a step back and allow ourselves to feel the emotion without being controlled by it. This moment of pause gives us the space to respond with wisdom, kindness, and clarity. The Stoics believe that most of the challenges we face come from our inability to control our emotions. Instead of reacting to every impulse, we can develop the patience to recognize our feelings, examine them, and choose the most virtuous course of action. This emotional regulation makes us more resilient, as we are not easily swayed by the whims of the moment. 3. Trusting the natural order. Patience is also about accepting the natural order of things. Stoics believe that the universe operates according to a rational and purposeful order, and that we, as individuals, are part of that greater design. There are times in life when things don't go as planned, when we face setbacks, delays, or unforeseen obstacles. In those moments, practicing patience means trusting that the universe has its reasons, even if we cannot immediately see them. By embracing the idea that events unfold in their own time, we stop trying to force outcomes and allow things to develop naturally. This acceptance fosters inner peace as we relinquish our need to control every aspect of life. Patience teaches us to trust that things are unfolding as they should, and that in time, the challenges we face will lead to the growth we need. 4. The wisdom of waiting. Patience teaches us the wisdom of waiting. In a world that often feels rushed, taking the time to wait allows us to gather insight, reflect on our choices, and make more thoughtful decisions. It is in the moments of stillness that we often find the most profound understanding. Whether we are waiting for a solution to a problem, for success to come, or for the right moment to act, patience teaches us to trust the process and be content with the present. Through the practice of patience, we stop rushing through life and begin to savor the journey. We become more attuned to the nuances of each moment and more capable of appreciating the beauty and wisdom that comes with time. In silence, patience flourishes, and we learn that true mastery often lies in waiting, watching, and reflecting before we act. The long-term impact of patience. The long-term impact of cultivating patience is profound. When we learn to wait with grace and composure, we find that life becomes less stressful and more fulfilling. Patience allows us to navigate challenges with confidence and resilience, knowing that everything has its time. We learn that impatience often leads to mistakes, regret, and unnecessary stress, while patience brings clarity, wisdom, and inner peace. Through patience, we grow in silence, developing an unwavering sense of trust in the unfolding of our lives. Habit 9. Nurturing a sense of purpose and direction. A life without purpose is like a ship without a rudder, adrift, uncertain, and vulnerable to the winds of chance. Purpose gives our lives direction, meaning, and focus. It anchors us in times of adversity and provides us with a vision for our future. The Stoics believe that to live a virtuous life, we must live with intention and purpose. This habit of nurturing purpose is the cornerstone of growth in silence, as it enables us to navigate life with clarity and confidence. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, wrote, "Those who have a why to live can bear with almost any how." Purpose is the reason that keeps us moving forward when life becomes difficult. It is the fuel that powers our actions, even when obstacles arise. The Stoics believed that our purpose is to live in accordance with reason and virtue, contributing to the greater good and finding meaning in every moment. 1. Identifying your core values. The first step in nurturing a sense of purpose is identifying your core values, those principles that guide your life and give it meaning. What do you believe in most deeply? What virtues do you wish to embody in your actions? These values form the foundation of your purpose and act as a compass for every decision you make. To identify your core values, spend time reflecting on what matters most to you. Ask yourself, what do I stand for? What kind of person do I want to become? Your values should reflect the virtues you admire in others and aspire to cultivate in yourself. These values will serve as your guiding light, helping you stay true to your purpose and live with integrity. 2. Setting clear, meaningful goals. Once you have identified your core values, the next step is to set clear, meaningful goals that align with them. Goals give us direction, and they transform our purpose into actionable steps. However, it's important to set goals that are not just based on external achievements, but on internal growth and fulfillment. Stoics often emphasize the importance of setting goals that contribute to the common good and promote virtue. Rather than focusing solely on material success or personal gain, think about how your goals can align with your values and serve others. Ask yourself, how can I use my strengths and talents to make a positive impact on the world? By aligning your goals with your values, you ensure that your purpose remains deeply meaningful and fulfilling. 3. Practicing discipline and consistency. Purpose is not a fleeting feeling. It is something that requires discipline and consistency. In the same way that a plant needs regular care and attention to grow, our sense of purpose requires daily nurturing. This means consistently working toward our goals, even when the path is difficult or unclear. The Stoics believed that it is our duty to cultivate virtue every day through our actions, thoughts, and decisions. Living with purpose requires a commitment to disciplined action, even in small ways. Whether it's practicing patience, seeking wisdom, or contributing to your community, consistency in living according to your purpose ensures that you stay aligned with your values, no matter what. 4. Embracing life's challenges as part of the journey. A life of purpose is not without challenges. In fact, the Stoics saw hardship as an essential part of the journey toward wisdom and virtue. When we live with purpose, we understand that challenges and setbacks are not obstacles, but opportunities for growth. Each challenge is a chance to deepen our commitment to our values and to strengthen our resolve. When we encounter difficulties, we can ask ourselves, what can I learn from this experience? How does this challenge bring me closer to my purpose? By reframing challenges in this way, we turn adversity into fuel for our purpose, making us stronger and more focused in the long run. The fulfillment of purpose. Living with purpose provides a deep sense of fulfillment. When we know what we stand for and are actively working toward meaningful goals, life takes on a richness and clarity that is not found in the pursuit of shallow desires. Purpose anchors us during times of uncertainty, gives us the strength to persevere through hardships, and ensures that every action we take is aligned with our deepest values. By nurturing a sense of purpose, we develop the ability to grow in silence, cultivating a life that is deeply meaningful, rooted in virtue, and directed towards something greater than ourselves. The fulfillment that comes from living with purpose is not fleeting. It is lasting, sustainable, and profoundly transformative. Habit 10. Living with gratitude. Gratitude is the quiet force that anchors us in the present moment and reminds us of the abundance we often overlook. It's a habit that many forget to nurture, yet it has the power to transform the way we perceive and interact with the world. Stoicism teaches us that gratitude is not just about appreciating the good in life, but also about acknowledging the value of hardships and challenges, for they too shape our growth and understanding. The Stoics believed in embracing life as it is, without attaching ourselves to the desire for things to be different. Gratitude is not just for the moments when life is easy or full of blessings. It's about cultivating an attitude of appreciation for everything that comes our way, the good, the bad, and the indifferent. This mindset shifts our perspective, making us less reliant on external circumstances and more grounded in the peace that comes from acceptance and understanding. 1. Cultivating gratitude for the present moment. Gratitude begins with the present. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to get caught up in what we don't have or what we feel we need. Yet, the Stoics remind us that true contentment comes from appreciating what is already before us, in the here and now. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." This understanding helps us shift from a mindset of scarcity to one of abundance. Take time each day to reflect on what you are grateful for in the present moment. It could be the simple joys, your health, the relationships you cherish, or even the quiet moments of solitude that allow you to connect with yourself. By grounding your attention in the present and appreciating what you already have, you begin to cultivate a deep sense of gratitude that remains unaffected by external circumstances. 2. Appreciating life's challenges as opportunities for growth. Gratitude is not reserved solely for moments of joy, but also for moments of difficulty. The Stoics believed that adversity is not to be feared, but embraced as a teacher. Every challenge, every setback, offers an opportunity to grow in virtue. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This idea suggests that the challenges we face are often the very means by which we evolve into stronger, wiser individuals. When we approach life's difficulties with a mindset of gratitude, we stop seeing them as obstacles and start viewing them as valuable lessons. Whether it's failure, loss, or hardship, these experiences can deepen our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Gratitude for these challenges shifts our approach from frustration and resistance to acceptance and growth. 3. Practicing daily reflection. One of the most effective ways to cultivate gratitude is through daily reflection. The Stoics practiced daily journaling as a means of self-reflection, where they would assess their thoughts, actions, and experiences. This practice allowed them to examine their lives in the context of their values and appreciate the lessons of the day. Each evening, spend a few moments reflecting on your day. What are you grateful for? What challenges did you face, and what did you learn from them? This reflection helps you focus on the positives of each day, no matter how small, and reinforces a habit of gratitude that is woven into the fabric of your daily life. 4. Gratefulness as a path to peace. Gratitude has the profound ability to lead us to inner peace. When we practice being thankful for what we have, we stop longing for what we do not. This quiet acceptance brings a deep sense of serenity, as we let go of our attachment to external outcomes and find contentment in the present moment. The Stoics understood that peace is found not in the absence of challenges, but in how we respond to them. Gratitude is a key tool in fostering this inner peace. By appreciating what we have, we detach ourselves from the constant desire for more. This doesn't mean we stop striving for growth or improvement, but rather that we do so from a place of contentment. We no longer live in perpetual dissatisfaction, but in a state of peaceful acceptance. The transformative power of gratitude. The habit of gratitude is transformative because it reshapes our entire perspective. By consciously focusing on what we have and finding value in everything we experience, we stop taking life for granted. Gratitude allows us to appreciate the full spectrum of life, the joy and the sorrow, the victories and the losses, as essential parts of our growth. In the silence of gratitude, we experience profound fulfillment, and through this habit, we can find peace in any circumstance. Final thoughts, growing in silence and wisdom. As we come to the end of this exploration into the 10 habits that foster growth in silence, it's important to reflect on the overarching theme of this journey, the Stoic idea that true growth is often quiet, unseen, and inward. In a world that prizes external achievement and noisy displays of success, the path of the Stoic is one of subtlety, of cultivating virtues and habits that strengthen us internally, allowing us to face the world with resilience, wisdom, and equanimity. The Stoics understood that life is fleeting, and that it is in our ability to cultivate a deep, internal foundation of virtue that we find true fulfillment. These 10 habits, developing self-discipline, cultivating silence, seeking wisdom, mastering emotions, embracing hardship, nurturing self-reliance, and living with gratitude, are all tools that help us live in accordance with our highest potential. Each habit, when practiced with intention, contributes to the quiet, steady growth that shapes us into individuals who are not swayed by the fluctuations of the external world. In silence, we can grow, not because we withdraw from life, but because we engage with it more deeply, more consciously, and more authentically. It is in the quietude of the mind and the restraint of the actions that we find our greatest power. As you continue on this journey of growth, remember that it is not the loudest voices that make the greatest impact, but the quiet, steady, and consistent actions that reflect our true character. Cultivate the habits of silence, patience, and resilience, and you will find that the life you build in silence will be far more powerful than anything built through noise or haste. You are a wisdom seeker, and the path you walk is one that leads not to external recognition, but to a profound inner peace and strength. May you continue to grow silently, steadily, and with unwavering commitment to your own personal development. In this journey, as the Stoics remind us, we find our greatest freedom, not in the noise of the world, but in the quiet mastery of ourselves.